there will always be needy people, right? You and I'm sure everybody would have been needy at one point at one point of their lives. We are still needy. You compartmentalize need. I'm sure at some point you need something. With education, I think there's still room for covering a lot more people who definitely need support. My only worry is that there seems to be an internal inconsistency when it comes to the provision of freebies for not just education, but for everything else that maybe the NDC would have had issues with. And indeed, it's good to have issues with a policy that seems to be universal, when in actual fact it can be targeted. And on this, I'm referring to their position on the free SHS. The overwhelming call for review of the free SHS policy was a good one. It's still a good one. It's obviously it's in sync with some of our position. That not everybody is poor, right? And so you want to target. How the NDC moved from that position of calling for a review of the free SHS system based on maybe fee payment or maybe even infrastructure and whatever, to now say that, first year, because there is some level of need and there's some level of obstruction to access, would ensure that everybody goes in terms of not paying tuition fee. There's a huge inconsistency there, and I think they need to clarify that. I think that one needs to be clarified, because you see, there's the beauty of having campaign based on policies and ideas, because at the end of the day, you ought to be put on the pedestal, same one that you held your opponents to. So I found it a bit inconsistent, in spite of the fact that people ought to be supported. What I thought should have been done, maybe, this is my suggestion. There's a gentleman called Reginald Sechi Brown. I've hopefully got the name right. Yeah, he's been on a campaign on Facebook on the cost of books, right? Books, educational books, to the extent that you pay almost 15% if you are buying books, imported books. Maybe within the country, right? There are all kinds of taxes on educational materials. Perhaps the NDC would have been a bit more pragmatic in suggesting that in addition to targeting people who need tuition to be paid for them, for everybody else, they want to target taxes on educational materials and to do away with a significant part of them, because it's abhorrent that the thing that you want to buy books, and it's so difficult. One of the things that make the education system here a bit subpar is that there's no additional resources to the things that are taught in class, only because people cannot access them, in spite of the fact that the World Wide Web now has a lot of resources. But there are significant books you want to purchase, and even accessing these documents online, you probably want to target and say that if you are accessing certain materials online or whatever, maybe there's a 10% tax that could be taken off from the parent. So these are things you can do universally that will help everybody. But when it becomes a race to the bottom in terms of how free we want to be free, then it appears that we are tying knots at one point or the other, or at one point, and then trying to free ourselves at the other end. So I think they need to address that inconsistency, and I would suggest that they should focus on in any case, after the first year, what happens? If you help me to get in, and then I get hanged second year, what happens? Maybe the student loans trust will come to my aid. I don't understand. Because the idea is that, but I had one of them suggest, I think Beatrice suggested that, the first year, the level of the barrier to entry is high financially, so we want to help you halfway. Well, I get in, then what happens? I start looking up to God for the next tranche. I'm not saying no help. Every help is good. But I think the inconsistency question ought to be out there. And I think the more pragmatic approach would have been assessing educational materials at some tax rebates rather than this one that appears to be a bit quite inconsistent with their own position on free SHS.